This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino here on a busy Tuesday. On the program today, professional sports bettor Paul Stone. His look at best bets in college football this weekend. Matt Human's on the show a little bit later on. And this is going to be a lot of fun with Derek Stevens, owner, CEO of this great property, the man who came up with the Circa Survivor idea. He saw all of the texts that were coming in. 45 people missed their chance to put in their picks for Week 1 Survivor. 45 people. $1,000 a pop. I can't wait to hear some of the reasons and some of the excuses that people had, Paulie, when he's in studio a little bit later on.
Leave Jeff Benson alone. Don't be mad at him. You're the bozo who blew it. He had nothing to do with it.
They make it quite clear.
That's
crystal
right.
clear, I would say.
Everyone's upset. I can't wait to see these texts and the reasons and hear from it. What he has to say. Great. Yesterday was a lot of fun.
It was great.
The pregame was excellent, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the pregame show up until 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific time, Mondays and Thursdays right here on the network. And we happen to have the breaking news with Christian McCaffrey yesterday, and it was a blast. More on that coming up here in a few minutes. You know, a lot of reaction from the game last night, obviously. I'm involved in a really silly text chain with like 18 people involved in it. I wanted to say Mitch has left the conversation, but I haven't done it yet. Every single person saying how bad the Jets are going to be this year. And that's all I've heard from last night, right? And they look terrible. But let me this question has to be presented. What if the Jets turn out to be really good this year? What does that say about what the 49ers did to them last night? Trent Williams can take the entire offseason off, come back and pitch a shutout like that. Did not allow a pressure on 33 dropbacks. First time he's ever done that in his career. Like no prep time at all. He comes out and just dominates that side of the Jets defensive line. And again, on paper, you heard me talk about this. You heard probably others. Jets defense may be the best in football. They got absolutely gashed last night and looked horrendous doing so. But what if they're a 10 or 11 win team and that defense turns out to be elite? That tells me the Niners are just going to be ridiculous yet again this year.
Don't panic. Relax. No doubt humans nailed it on the pregame. If we're all thinking alike, we're not thinking. The whole world was on the Jets.
Yeah.
Everyone you talk to, Jets, 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 right? Super Bowl loser, hangover, 5-20 ATS run, all this, yada, yada, yada. So I go back, and I should have been stronger on this. Shanahan, give them time, game plan, preparation. What happened last year, Week 1? They went to Pittsburgh, playoff team, embarrassed them, 30-7. Game was over second quarter. McCaffrey ran for 152 yards. When does that happen against that Pittsburgh defense? And they were sensational. It's also a defense last year that shut down Hurts, Stroud, and Mahomes. But they couldn't contain Purdy. So with all these weapons, doesn't matter who's out, they did a great job. But the thing that bothers me is Salah. He's Calipari. What is this? We stop the run when we have to business.
Right,
no, you don't. You're 25th against the run last year, and they lined up last night and they punched you in your mouth. Calipari, when he was the head coach of Memphis, said, we make our free throws when they count. We'll make them when they matter. No, you didn't. You blew a championship because of it in the title game and bricked all those free throws in the final 2 minutes.
Well,
that guy is 18-34 for a reason. And they were out-coached, and they were out-schemed.
They were out-manned. They were out-physicaled. They were out-everything last night. And that's how you begin the season. And you have this much hype, and you finally have Aaron Rodgers back and ready to go off the injury from a year ago, and that's how you played Week 1. They weren't ready to play that game last night. They were crushed. They were embarrassed. And again, going back to Williams, he's the one star they have on the offensive line. What have we heard the entire, going back to last year and beyond that? It's Trent Williams and a bunch of guys who are average or below. They looked, Jordan Mason, clearly no drop-off last night. McCaffrey was worth nothing to the point spread. But I got to tell you, I could have gone for 120 yards last night. Mason was awesome. I don't have those moves anymore. I never did. But the holes were gigantic that he was running behind half the time.
Yeah.
And then so he knew how to utilize them, and the shiftiness was awesome too. And, you know, go for a $147 like that. And another one too, it doesn't help that Hackett is just, the only reason why he has a job is because Aaron Rodgers is his buddy. That's it. And
where are you going to get in-game adjustments?
Oh.
Both sides. Both sides. That's his area of expertise too, Salah.
Yeah, right.
And he was the DC with the Niners. Where are the adjustments? What are you doing? You're a defensive guy. You're great last year against the pass, but you were lousy against the run, and it carries over to week one. Unacceptable, can't happen, right?
How about
offense? I knew they'd be rusty. You knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to get
roster
better.
and play, but certainly, again, sky's the limit for Wilson. They hardly had the ball, and he had 11 targets. But the other thing is, who are you throwing to other than Lazard? You got Wilson and Lazard. I mean, did Williams get on the field? Where are these other guys? A dump off the hall? I mean, that's an issue, too. But I'm with you. I'm with you. That's probably the second best team in the NFL. You're on the road, and you got smacked around.
Smoked.
So that's what happened last year against Pittsburgh. They're an excellent team. They made at least the NFC title game 4 years in a row and 2 Super Bowl appearances and should have won at least 2 Super Bowls.
I couldn't believe the lack of urgency and the terrible play calling by Hackett. When they got the ball back and they're down a couple of scores, like down by 16 points, they did hold the 49ers to 6 field goals for what it's worth. But it was all the Niners from that third drive on. They completely, crushed them, and they were clearly the better side. But the play calling, like what you were doing with the shortstop before the sticks and not enough for the first down and not being creative whatsoever, and the Niners saw it coming the whole time. The guy was, we say this all the time about who's the worst coach, we've seen maybe in recent years. Hackett certainly he could raise his hand when he was with the Broncos because they had absolutely no idea what they were doing in those games. And without Aaron Rodgers, it's been proven that the guy's a terrible play caller. And we saw it last night with Rodgers back on the field. Now, in terms of his overall play, it'll take a minute again. I don't think he looked great. I also don't think that he looked horrendous. But to your point, if Mike Williams is going to be on a milk carton, you're looking at Garrett Wilson, and then you're going to need games like that from Allen Lazard throughout the year.
Well, that was big, though. I mean, he had a good game. I mean, I can't believe 2 touchdowns.
I know.
And he had the most receiving yards. But that's one positive there, too. Also, I don't understand taking Rodgers out and keeping Hall in the game. That didn't make any sense in garbage time, too. So their schedule's easy coming up. Got to take advantage of it, win these games. You look around, Buffalo was down 14 at home to Arizona. And Miami struggled against Jacksonville. They had issues offensively. So it's right there for the Jets.
So, as you said, we were on the pregame show up until 8 o'clock Eastern time last night. That's going to be Monday and Thursday throughout the football season. And we had the CMC breaking news at the very end of our show. And we are quickly searching as many apps as possible for, bets that we can make, player props to attack, and things that would make sense, right, to come through. The first thing that we pointed out, one of the first things anyway, was Jordan Mason. Get on him anytime touchdown if you can immediately. Was able to get him live during the show yesterday at 7 and plus 650. Juszczyk almost scored.
Yeah, tackled it to 2, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that would have been one. We talked about Deebo Samuel, if you could get down on him at all.
11-yard move.
Yep, and the rushing attempts overall, another thing. And he was a focal point because of that. And then we got a couple of texts from our buddy Adam Chernoff about news coming in throughout the afternoon that the Jets were going to plan on using Allen Lazard in a big-time way, and that the rapport was there with Aaron Rodgers, and he was going to be a go-to guy in this game. So it's like, okay, what can we find with Allen Lazard? The touchdown number came in. The anytime touchdown, the 2 touchdowns in the game, massive prices. I brought up to lead the game with most receiving yards, which was 50-1, maybe even higher than that. Everything on Lazard came in. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what people kind of want in a pregame show, especially when you have breaking news?
Well said. That's what you want. Cash tickets, winners. And no 6-7 ex-jocks sitting around and cackling and laughing at stupid jokes.
Right, and projecting
That's what you need.
How McCaffrey could miss, and it's going to be all about him, and it's going to be nothing about betting or nothing about fantasy at all. And that's been a disservice to viewers for 30 years, minimum. The Mason stuff, bonkers after the game. People are pissed. The fantasy people, I don't blame them at all. Right? Who knows when this actually came out?
A friend of ours had the information at 2:15 Pacific.
That's 90 minutes before it became official?
Yeah, how about that? I mean, that's enormous. And then for that, it's Shanahan last week called him day to day.
I know.
It was bizarre what happened.
So here's Jordan Mason asked about the entire situation after the game.
When did you find out that you were going to be starting?
When did I find out? Maybe Friday night, something like that.
Okay, so that's when people really lost their minds.
And rightfully so, because they're going to get fined big time, because he was listed as questionable on the injury report. So that is a big deal. Mm-hmm. You can't do that.
Now, of course you can't.
Yes, and then, you got to back your player, too. And I feel bad for the guy. He has the game of his life. He's the story. And then he's sitting there and he's depressed afterwards. That's why I don't like talking to me. Hey, Salter asked the question. He caught him. He's honestly answering.
Yeah, he didn't have this running through his mind.
Right.
Like,
He's not thinking about that. And then Shanahan throws him under the bus.
Here you go. Head coach of the 49ers basically saying, no, he's wrong.
Just the same stuff that was bothering him all week. There was a little too much today. Game time decision. He came in, just talking to him about it. It was still there. Thought it was going to be smart to keep him out, and glad we did.
Jordan said after the game that he was told on Friday night he was going to start. When did Christian start feeling awry?
I never told Jordan he was going to start. Told him he had to be ready a bunch, but that might have been Bobby or somebody trying to pump him up. But I knew he was going to have to play a lot. I told him that he was going to have to. It wasn't going to be like usual. It was going to be a number 2 back that was splitting a lot of the time. But now he didn't know he for sure was doing that till today.
All right, so was there something lost in translation between Shanahan and Mason, or there's some downtime between Mason doing the post-game interview as soon as the game is over with and Shanahan talking to the media? So Shanahan probably heard about that. He's like, I need to put this fire out immediately.
Bad job by Shanahan. Don't tell me the guy's day-to-day. Not only does he miss last night, he's probably going to miss the Minnesota game,
That's
too.
right, yeah.
That's the other big one. The other thing in light of what happened last night, take pictures of your bets. Everything you put in on the app. You know, with what happened and when'd you get the bet in and books moving the numbers and all that and the crazy activity, take pictures of your bets.
I do it all the time. I did it last night for the Lazard and the Mason stuff. And people, now there's a sports book that originally said, oh, sorry, not going to pay you out, but they changed their minds. They had to do that. I mean, that was absurd what happened. A Survivor discussion is up next. Will a bigger percentage of entries be on this game than the Bengals in Week 1? Let's follow the money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
VSiN is thrilled to introduce a new VSiN.com tailor-made to the evolved needs of today's sports bettors. Our upgraded navigation streamlines your journey, allowing you to swiftly access articles, videos, and podcasts. Whether you're tuning in live or catching up on your favorite shows, everything is just a click away. VSiN.com guarantees a fluid and responsive experience across all devices, ensuring you stay connected wherever you are. We have enhanced tools such as our betting splits and expert picks, and introduce innovative features like parlay and odds calculators, all designed to make you a sharper bettor. Our how to bet section is perfect for beginners, covering the fundamentals, while seasoned bettors can delve into our advanced betting strategies for the competitive edge you've been looking for. Sign up for free on VSiN.com or become a VSiN Pro subscriber, where you can unlock unlimited access to every tool, expert picks, and insight that make VSiN the sports betting network.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to VSiN.com/picks to see all the selections and weekly leaderboard of VSiN hosts, writers, and guests. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get every pick sent to your inbox daily. Just head to VSiN.com/pro.
Responsible sports betting starts with a game plan. That means stick to a budget. Keep it social, learn the game, and know the odds. Play with legal operators, and if you need help, reach out. Visit haveagameplan.org to learn more.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
In 15 minutes, a coach admitted that it was the definition of a letdown game after a loss this weekend. Incredible. So Survivor, now that we're here in week number 2, since he gets bounced, 34% of the tickets here at Circa anyway, and I'm guessing worldwide, dropping a lot of people out after week 1. Very close to absolute carnage in week 1 overall. Had the Bills gone down and the Seahawks lost. All 3 of those possibilities were actually taking place, early on and then the late game as well with the Seahawks. So you have that. Now you fast forward to this week. Bigger favorites are on the board than we had in week 1. But do you think, Paulie, there's a chance that the Ravens will have more than 34% of the entries on them this weekend? As high as a 10-point favorite at home against the Raiders. They do play a Christmas Day game.
Yeah, I'll go. Oh boy, that's tough. I'll go under though. Yeah, I'll take the under. But I don't think you're thinking about Christmas because number 1, they're on the road. Number 2, it's week 17. It is a brutal week the way you look at it now. There are only 3 games and you must play one of them. KC at Pittsburgh, Baltimore at Houston, Seattle at Chicago. And a lot of people use Seattle already. But that is, also goes back to how many people might use Houston, considering the Bears couldn't even have 150 yards of offense against the Titans. But that'll be interesting to see. And how the 31 teams were used to start week 1, which Derek Stevens could not believe. And I was surprised by that as well. So what other people are going to do in the guessing game there, that is tough. Baltimore will be popular, but I think you're going to get a lot of Houston. And I think people are going to step out and take the Chargers.
That's what I brought up yesterday.
But how bad now 6.5 might get carried away. But certainly, I love what Rex Ryan said. They don't have a Division III coach anymore.
That's very true.
Going from Staley, to Harbaugh, and how Harbaugh was so good going west to east when he was with the 49ers.
Now, I will say that the Chargers are going to have spots later on in their schedule because it is, in terms of overall opponents that they have to play this year, it is relatively easy. It's the situational spots that makes it difficult for this team later on in the year.
Yeah.
But so you don't have to burn the Chargers this weekend if you don't want to. They're going to have other easy opponents, last place schedule this year for them.
Okay. Also, Detroit now over a touchdown, and the Cowboys a good-sized favorite.
Right.
But Thanksgiving, its own week, 4 games. You got to play one of them. Chicago, Detroit, Giants, Dallas, Miami, Green Bay, Chiefs at home to the Raiders on Black Friday.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to do there? Who do you want to hang on to? Don't you kind of want to have
Dallas and or Kansas City, even though certainly the revenge angle and what happened last year too, getting beat. But I would say I'd like to have Dallas there, considering how bad the Giants looked, and who knows who their quarterback is. But that's a tough part about who am I saving? How am I looking at this? Mahomes could slip on ice.
Oh, look at
you never know.
Jordan Love right away.
You know what I did last year? I played Miami on Black Friday.
Against the Jets.
It was because they started, I think it was Boyle. I'm like, if he beats me, so be it.
Right.
And he threw the pick 6, and the Dolphins killed him. So it depends how things break. And I got the gift early on when Green Bay shocked the world and took out the Lions. And suddenly, after that, there were only like 150 people left in something in the contest.
That's right. So I wonder, Love is only supposed to be out about a month.
Yep.
What happened if that thing's going to linger? Originally, my idea was to hang on to Green Bay as one of the options for Thanksgiving. But if you want to get way ahead of ourselves here, right, that's a problem this year. Maybe he re-injures it again and he's not around. Would you like to have Miami in pocket to use them on the road, cold weather against Green Bay on Thanksgiving, if it's not going to be Jordan Love? I know there's a lot of ifs to that, but you have to think about all this. To your point, who knows? I mean, anything can happen. These quarterbacks can go down, they could drop like flies all in the same week.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a total dart throw that you're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to have at least 2 teams available on Thanksgiving and Christmas if possible. Not just one. I want to have at least 2.
Yep.
Because of that scenario, though, too. Because you can't, if you're going to save only one team, and let's say it's going to be KC for Christmas, and then Mahomes gets hurt between Thanksgiving and Christmas, well, then you're going to be SOL. Very good chance. On the road against that Steelers defense, have to go with the backup. That's not an ideal situation to be in at all. None of this is ideal. Derek makes it very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you do moving forward? And this is what I have to, because we've only been doing this a couple years, but this has been so big and so popular around the rest of the country. And for me, it was out of sight, out of mind, because we didn't have this and I wasn't in this and it was Las Vegas and it was always, pick the ATS and do your teasers and your parlay cards. But I know our old friend Charlie M. has been doing this for a long time. So what does Derek do and the staff moving forward now that we got over 14,000? And what happens when you're in Survivor leagues around the country and they're so big? How do you cut it down and eliminate all these people? Where you don't have all these people chopping. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be to the point where, moving forward, and I know Charlie M. is in one Survivor and they do this, there are multiple weeks where you have to pick 2.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to have to do it when you're talking about 14, 15, 16,000 people around the country. Some of these were bigger.
Well, especially if that scenario comes in. I've been kind of half joking, but you got to prepare for anything, right? What if a huge number crosses the finish line this year? And we're talking about hundreds of people because 14,000 plus got into it. It is, slightly unrealistic. Mm-hmm. I understand that. But under that scenario, how does Derek again check those boxes to be like, we can't have this happen again? And it would be probably starting in week 6, week 7. And then you could go, moving forward, you got to have 2 games every single week, 2 teams every single week. Or you could go, we're going to put it in the rules where it's going to be like week 7, week 9, week 12, week 14, whatever. And come up with your own weeks. So you have to have select, 2 different teams on the board.
Yep. You can't use the Super Bowl champion. You have to play, Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's separate week. Now that the NFL is all in with the Christmas schedule. That too. And then you're going to have to take 2 multiple weeks. That's where we're headed. You have to. And that's how they do it in these other leagues around the country where so many people are in these damn contests.
Oh, remember when Derek first started this again in year 1, we were asking for people to respond with how big their Survivor contests are. And this is when, I don't remember, how big was year 1 here? 1,000 people? Couple thousand people? I don't remember the exact number.
I don't either.
Before it really grew. Anyway, people back then, 4 or 5 years ago, would chime in and send us screen grabs of their Survivor pools were 20,000 people.
Yeah.
Now, those were clearly not $1,000 buy-in. They're $20, $50, $100, whatever it is. But that's how big we're talking about. So, of course, and they don't do the Thanksgiving and Christmas Day games as a separate week like Circa. Only the madman, the lunatic Derek Stevens does that. So you have to have it where you're going to probably several weeks in a row where you're going to have, and then that's a whole new animal, by the way, how you have to plan and try to move forward.
What number is too big?
For Survivor overall?
Yeah.
There isn't one.
No. I'm talking about how many people get to the finish line.
Oh, then
do you think 45 is too much? Do you think 75? What's your number? What's your number?
For them to tinker with the rules?
What's your number that it's so big? I want, like last year was perfect. It was, I'm like, so many people are going to chop. What the hell? It's not going to. And then all the chaos. Jacksonville lost to Browning. That what happened on Thanksgiving. Left and right. Steelers lose. Denver loses. Patriots shock in the world. And we got down to 4. 4 people made it to the finish line. It was crazy. So what has that number where you say, okay, we have to tinker with this? It's too many people chopping here. I don't like this.
It's a great question for Derek when he's going to be in studio coming up in about 2 hours. Do you just flat make it around 100? And if there are more than triple digits of people who actually have to split the pot, then you have to say, yeah, I've got to do something here.
Well, I think that's fine, though. If you're going to have 15, 16,000 people and 70 make it to the end, so be it. Congratulations. Here's your prize money.
Like that, I'm not crazy. Like that path exists. Once the number of people is so big, there's something people are going to be thinking alike. And maybe not every year you have it where there's absolute Armageddon and some of these huge favorites go down. And then you have a couple hundred people at the very end like, hey, that was fun. Now we get how much money?
Yep. But that's where here, I'm not an expert, but that's ftm@vsin.com or tweet at us as well. That's where the multiple picks would take care of everything, I would think.
Here's another question.
2 or 3 weeks where you have to take 2 teams.
Has anybody ever played in a league where you have to take 3 teams in 1 week? And that's just, does it ever get down to that? Our contest's so big that's you don't want to split it at all, and so imagine, I don't even know if that's possible. How 3 teams in 1 week?
So. No.
I like your idea though. Maybe no Super Bowl champ. Could you put maybe not for the whole year, but could you put it? You can't use them until like the midway part, or you got to get by Halloween, let's say, before you use the Super Bowl champs, or both Super Bowl participating teams.
Yep. But the angle where, hey, guess what? There's just going to be a dreadful, god-awful team. I'm going to play against them every week. We thought that was the case last year with Arizona. They went bye-bye early.
Yeah.
And then New England shocks the world right off the bat, too. So I still think the Patriots are in for a long season. That was more an indictment of who was out and Zach Taylor, but still, that's, you know.
You can tell a lot of times early in the season which teams are going to be legit that you never anticipated, and the exact opposite, right? And so far, some of the teams that we thought were going to be really, really bad are, in fact, going to be maybe even worse than we thought. Panthers, Giants, hello.
That could be in play.
All right. Up next, if you don't believe in look-ahead lines or games, or in this case, letdowns, it's time to start. I will give you strong comments from the head coach after losing a game this past weekend coming up next.
VSiN's got you covered for the start of the season with our football special. For $175, you'll get access to everything VSiN has to offer. With VSiN Pro, you'll receive daily picks straight to your inbox, detailed analysis on every game, and exclusive data like our betting splits to help you become a sharper bettor. Get all of this for just $175 through the Super Bowl. Or try a monthly subscription and get your first 30 days for only $9.99. Don't miss out on this offer. Sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe.
Don't wait until fall to start betting the NFL. Get a jump start now with the VSiN NFL betting guide and get prepared for this NFL season like never before. The guide has in-depth breakdowns for all 32 teams, best bets from our VSiN experts, playoff predictions, award market previews, and more. The guide is out now, and the only way to get it is to be a VSiN Pro subscriber. Head to VSiN.com/pro to sign up and join the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, some great reaction on the Survivor discussion. You can follow us and hit us up on X at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Paulie Howard. Email is ftm@vsin.com. So I threw that out there. I was just like, put it against the wall to see if it would stick. And I was like, this sounds probably crazy. First response, Andrew. One of his Survivor leagues he's been in, for a lot, you have to choose between 2 or 3 teams starting after week 13. It depends on how many people are left, and that determines if you have to choose 2 or 3 teams per week. Oh, as I told him, I responded like, that's pure insanity.
That's wild. That is interesting. Stewart, our buddy in Youngstown, he was in a league with 17,000 people. It extend through the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
Strategy becomes enormous. Obviously, you have to have those teams available. He didn't win it, but he got into the playoffs. That is wild. Also, people chiming in about, does Derek then go back and limit the amount of entries? You can't do 10 anymore? Or does he tinker with the buy-in price and raise it? Food for thought.
Okay, well,
all good points.
I think here's the thing, if you limit it, if you go back from 10 per person to like 5 or 6, well, then that's going to drastically cut down on how many people they're going to have overall, right? Even if more people are getting into it every single year and teaming up with people who have never been in it, that's going to cut it big time. And if you go from 1,000 to 2,500, 5,000, whatever that number is.
What if I lower the buy-in to 500 and I limit you to 5 entries?
To get even, okay.
Or I keep the entries the same and I lower it to 500.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good response here from Andrew and from Todd. Todd says on X, his Survivor leagues can only pick against a team twice.
I like that.
This eliminates picking against bad teams constantly, like the Panthers. You get 2 picks, that's it. Boom.
Yeah.
Move on. Find another team. That's strong.
That is.
People are saying, how about you're only allowed 1 entry? Well, if you would do that, then you would have to just have another separate Survivor contest and make it 10,000 a buy-in. Derek, by the way, in the preseason, Derek laughed at that, and he goes, nah, a little bit higher than that. I think he was considering like a $50,000 buy-in. You get 1 entry. You want to live a little?
Yeah, I love it. This is great. That is great.
Yeah.
And it's awesome hearing from the viewers and listeners all over the country. And I'm blown away by the Stewart thing in Youngstown. I mean, extending into the playoffs, and then you have to have those teams available. Oh, the strategy's paramount. Then.
So you just have to use the really bad teams in the regular season, hopefully, and get away with it. How about this from Edmund? Email ftm@vsin.com. Add point spreads to the last 4 weeks.
All right. Yeah. I'm here for anything.
Oh, you like that idea?
So whatever. Let's come on. Let's throw out some ideas. It's great. I love to hear this stuff.
All right. So let me throw this at you, Paulie. We kick around here on a gambling network, and the audience here obviously consists of mostly people who've been betting for a long time. If you haven't and you're new to the network, welcome in. You're going to hear us talk about look-ahead games, letdown spots all the time. A letdown spot would be after a team has a very, very big win, and they have a team on deck that might not be the caliber of the team they just defeated, and they take them lightly, and they show up with their C-minus game and they think it can win. Did you see these comments from Marcus Freeman after the loss to Northern Illinois? Quote, "This is the first time in my 3 years as a head coach we have won the big game early in the season. 2 losses to Ohio State, and then all of a sudden we win and everybody says, hey, you're going to be in the playoff. You've got an easy schedule. We all hear it, and I think we started to believe that. There is a physical approach to preparing for a game, and I think physically we prepared the right way, but there's also a mental approach and a mindset that you have to have every single week, and I think that's where we failed," end of quote. They absolutely exist.
Yeah. There's plenty of those games this week, too, with looking ahead. Utah plays Utah State. Should be easy. 3-touchdown favorite. Whoops, Oklahoma State's on deck. All these kids, whether looking ahead or the letdown, you're looking ahead to your rival, or you're coming off the big win, you're exactly right.
Paul, these are not necessarily in the pros. They're paid. They've been doing it for a long time. They're pros for a reason. But we're talking about 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. Big men on campus.
Yep.
and everybody there.
They disrespect their opponent all the time.
Sure.
Oh, we're playing a cupcake. Shouldn't be a problem. Whoop, we got a game in the third quarter.
And you've been hearing about it for the entire week. Freeman just said that.
Yep.
Hey, you're going to go to the playoffs. No problem. Easy schedule. Bam. Lost at home, 4 touchdown favorites.
Yep. It's the March Madness thing, too, where like a Cinderella or a team makes an unexpected run and they win 2 games and they go to the Sweet 16. Then they return to campus, and it's all, you guys are so great, and they're reading their press clippings. Then they show up in the next round, they get annihilated.
Mm-hmm. So Notre Dame flipped from a nice favorite after the A&M win to make the playoffs to now 3-1.
There's plus 350 out there. That's still not enough. They're going to have to run the table.
Yeah, they have to, and then they need help beyond that.
10-2. 10-2, let's say, with that horrible loss to Northern Illinois and all these SEC teams. Can't see it.
This is absolutely bonkers. So it's the first time in history that 6 of the top 7 teams in the poll are all from one conference.
Uh-huh.
And when you look at the odds now to make the playoffs, Tennessee is favored. Well, they're minus 110 to make the playoffs. They're behind out of their own conference. Georgia minus 750, Texas minus $6, Ole Miss minus $2, Alabama minus 185. So that's 5 teams right there now favored to make it out of the SEC. Missouri looming plus 150 right behind them.
Right. There's just nothing here. I'll get to this later with the yes/no odds on teams to make the playoffs in the National League. Well, someone's going to miss. They all can't be minus 175.
Yes.
So there's just no value here. There's nothing here. I mean, Tennessee even money in the Missouri price. LSU's 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, plus 250. Already lost the game. How about the group of 5? Memphis is 5-1. Texas State is 6. Boise is plus 220. Liberty's 4-1. Only one team can make it.
I know.
They all can't be in that range.
Do you think Liberty has a path if they go undefeated at this point? I know we're only a couple of weeks into the season. Can that happen?
I would think they take a 2-loss Memphis, a 2-loss Boise, a 1 or 2-loss Texas State. I just think it's the worst schedule in the country, and they almost lost at New Mexico State as a 22-point favorite.
Depending on who UNLV would lose to, I'll throw them. If UNLV has 1 or maybe 2 losses,
that too. I think 4-1 is outrageous.
There's no chance. There's absolutely no way you can bet Liberty at 4-1.
No, they still have to go to App State too.
I like what you said because I totally agree, and that's where I was going to go with this. A 2-loss team like in Memphis or Boise, come on. Are you serious?
Come on, yeah. How are they not ranked, by the way? They just went to Oregon and lost by 3. So they have a great running back and good quarterback. So that's. But by the way, Boise, this is available minus 220 to make the Mountain West title game.
Just to make it.
Just to make it, as opposed to the 160 or 180 to win the damn thing. So that's a lot of trash at the bottom of that league and in the middle.
Oh, very much so.
So Wyoming's a big disappointment. Air Force is a disappointment. I would expect Boise certainly to make the title game, and who knows, probably UNLV again in a rematch.
I can't tell you how important the game is next weekend. Utah playing at Oklahoma State. Utah now is down to plus 160 to make the playoffs. We're heavy on them. Plenty of us are here at the network on Utah to make the playoff or to win the Big 12 or to maybe even make a deeper run than that. The rising injury again, taking on Oklahoma State, to get by this week as 3 touchdown favorites against Utah State first. But Oklahoma State, I know what happened this past weekend at home. Arkansas, you were buried the whole game. You allowed almost 700 yards of offense.
Yeah.
And yet, depending on the number that you bet, they covered, right? 7.5 was out there for a long time. Crazy. So that one is going to go a long ways to determine what's going to happen and who's going to come out of the Big 12.
Mm-hmm. Tough place to play, no doubt. But also it's a deep league, and you can make the case for a lot of teams, and UCF's off to a good start too, and that's back end of the schedule with Utah. But that's a big one, and you got all this. And then we're going to get into every week. There's a monster matchup in the SEC.
Yeah.
You know, Georgia Bama's coming, Georgia Texas is coming, Georgia Ole Miss is coming, one after another.
I think.
But one more thing on Boise, they are expected to go 10-2. The adjusted wins 9.5 over 180 at DK.
Okay.
So.
I think over the years, by the way, on this show, we've tried to be a little fair with the SEC. I mean, acknowledging how great they are at the very top, but also telling you that the weekly grind nonsense was ridiculous for many, many years. And they were just given a path by the committee, the BCS committee, and then the playoff people as well, constantly. I can say without any hesitation that I absolutely love the SEC this year. These games are must-watch, and they're so elite, and they belong. All those teams belong right where they belong now in the top 25.
Yep.
Tennessee's been awesome so far, ranked that highly. Ole Miss has been great. Texas looks like the number 2 team in the country behind Georgia.
Yes, they do.
See what happens with Alabama this weekend on the road against Wisconsin. It took a minute for them to actually get it, kick it in high gear last weekend. But
imagine if Will Howard struggles. There's a scenario where the 4 best teams in the country are in the same league.
Totally agree.
That's definitely in play with Oregon's issues too.
Yep.
So that's
this is we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks in, depending on, and this is already, I can tell you without any question, my most enjoyable SEC season ever as a college football fan. It's that good.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
So, win some, lose some is up next. Paulie's going to recap last night's betting action, including some really big numbers that cashed during the Jets and 49ers Monday night tilt. It's Follow the Money, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
In the heart of downtown Las Vegas, a sports oasis awaits. Stadium Swim, the ultimate outdoor amphitheater, built for the ultimate sports fan, with a colossal screen that brings the game closer than ever. Reserve a daybed, private cabana, or lounge in the center of it all. 6 pools to dive into as the game heats up. And the best part, there's never an off-season. Open 365 days a year. Stadium Swim, it's always spectator season.
Looking for the ultimate sports betting podcasts? VSiN has got you covered. With a wide range of podcasts covering every major sport, we're here to help you make smarter bets every season. The Baseball Betting Show with Greg Peterson gives you daily insights into finding value on each day's MLB card. And check out Long Shots, where we deep dive into the world of golf betting, providing you with expert insights to help you bet every tournament. Find all of these podcasts and more at VSiN.com/podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
It was unfortunate. It was a blowout, but a lot of big tickets cashed. And if you listen to the pregame show with Mitch, myself, and Humans, you cash some big tickets. Breece Hall, first touchdown, plus 650. Mason, anytime touchdown, plus 550. Samuel, rushing yards over, 10.5, bet up to 21.5 after the McCaffrey news. Samuel, anytime touchdown, plus 160. He holds on the Mason touchdown and then scores after. That's tough.
I was panicking when that happened, by the way.
Oh, it was tough.
It was a beautiful run. I'm like, come on, we got him anytime touchdown here. Allow that, please. I thought it was legit, by the way. Got one later, which is good.
Lazard, anytime touchdown, 6-1. Most receiving yards. At Circa, he was 25. He was higher than that at other spots. Lazard, 2 touchdowns. I saw, and I'll tell you, doing this for 3, 4, 5 years, the biggest prices always seem to be at FanDuel.
Agreed.
100-1, 80-1, 70, 60-1. But I saw 100-1 tickets at FanDuel. Lazard, 2 touchdowns.
We don't have FanDuel in Nevada. To your point, I had to grab 50-1. 2 touchdowns, and I grabbed, I think, 40-1 most receiving yards last night.
49ers, alt line, minus 10.5 plus 220. And the Niners to win between 8 and 14 points, paid 5-1. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. They have several of these theme suites at the Westgate. I stayed at the Christmas one last year. I put it on my Instagram at Paulie Does Vegas. I brought Jordan. They're dog-friendly. There's multiple Christmas trees, multiple Santas. It's great. July 27th, let's fire up the eggnog and get it going. This is the Halloween. Every day this is available. The Halloween-themed suite at the Westgate. How cool is this? Be careful for the little trick-or-treaters out there. They hide in the leaves. But look at this. I mean, what a setup. This is so creative and so well done. They do a country western theme suite. They have the Christmas theme suite and the Halloween as well. That's awesome. Every day you want it. Call up, reserve it online, and you just see how big it is and how it's decorated head to toe. Tippy-top and all the way up in the rooms and everything you want.
All right, have you booked a night yet here?
I'm not going to do that.
No?
No. Not with the Halloween. The Christmas was great. I highly recommend it. That's more of my speed. That's my, right? Okay, good.
Big Christmas guy here.
Sure, absolutely. We showed this one yesterday, I forgot. Look at putting the dog food in there, and he's coming out as he's pouring it in the bowl and in the tub, and he's eating. Jordan has done that for years, where I put the bottle of water in the bowl, and he starts drinking it immediately,
right
coming out of the bottle. Yeah, I'm like, let me get it in there. And here he's like, I don't even put it in my bowl. I know you're going to put it in the tub and then transfer it from the tub to the bowl, but I'm going to have it right now when you're pouring it out of the bag. Give me some of that.
Then he
goes in and he dives in. Right, that's great. And he dives in. We got the dog sleeping in the car. Oh, this is great. Look at the driving cross country, right? On the back roads, no problem. The 2 dogs, this guy's head resting on the owner's lap, and then the other guy's out, and then the puppy is on top of the other dog, knocked out. That is good sleep. That is some
I love
wicked
this shot.
Sleep. Yeah.
Look at the little puppy. How is he sitting down like that?
I know. He's sitting on his buddy, the big fella, with the front porch, and then he's resting back
like he's in a recliner.
Human. Yeah, right. Never seen that before. That's awesome. Did you see what the Empire State Building did last night?
I did.
How good is that? Now look at that. We lost James Earl Jones, Darth Vader, and they put up Vader on the Empire State Building with the red and black. Ooh, that's creative. And a beautiful tribute as well.
All right, like many, you love the franchise. Where would you rank Star Wars all time? Is it a top 5 movie? First of all, the first one's not the best one.
Empire Strikes Back.
So would you have that top 5 all time? All movies we're talking.
I mean, that's I certainly, it's for ahead of its. Lucas is a genius. I mean, I think it came out in 82, and then 81, then Return of the Jedi after that. Absolutely, excellent.
Yeah,
I love it. Can't get enough. I think they lost their way after that, and then
it's not in Godfather territory, but you like it.
I know. No, yeah, certainly right. Lose some. The under last night, 45.5 to 43. And how about this from Evan Abrams?
Ugh.
This is ridiculous. The Jets and Giants in primetime games since 2019 are 3-28 straight up. and 1-14 straight up on the road. How's New York Sports Talk Radio going today?
Yeah, keep putting them on primetime, by the way. Thanks.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Last night doesn't.
3-28 straight up in primetime since 2019.
Yeah.
Give me a break. That's win-lose. Excellent. There's another one. This is good from Stewart about Survivor. So it goes through, you can kill the music. It goes through the playoffs. Think about it. You have to be right in your assessment as to who these playoff teams might be for starters.
Bingo, like Houston last year. Who had that?
Then who are the playoff teams going to be? Who do I have left to pick from? And you don't want to obviously have an 8-9 team playing a 12-4 team, or 13-4, and then who's coming off a bye. This just eliminates people picking the every favorite every week, as it's all strategy from week one on. I love that. Thanks, Stuart.
Okay. This is from Brian. He tweets us, he is in a pool that after week 8, every other week, you need to take an away team.
I like that, too.
And as you can imagine, he said it turns chaotic.
Yeah, right.
You think so, Doctor? Yes.
Yeah.
Randy McKay, one of the best contest players there is. He loves the discussion. He said 10K buy-in, max 2 entries would be a lot of fun. 10K entry. Only 2. That's it. I don't think Derek would do 10,000.
How about 5?
No, I think he would do 25, 50, something like that. I don't think.
Really?
Yeah,
you don't think you go?
Based on when he was in studio or in the summertime, I just don't think that's not enough for him.
I like the road angle, too. That's also good.
Oh, do you know how you're going to hate life?
You can't pick against the bad teams.
You're going to hate, Paul, you're going to hate life at that point.
Oh, it should be hard. We're not playing for milk and cookies here.
No, I understand that. L.A. Joneser, by the way, who was one of the guys who split it last year, said we had the discussion last year about can we get maybe 100 people at the very end.
Right. Yeah. He was also very good, too, on X about, Sean Perry was never involved in the chop discussions either.
Right.
I thought he was X because they knew about his history and the stuff in the poker community.
See, this is where I lean, too. Greg says it always figures itself out. Yeah, for the most part. I'm just wondering, how big a contest has to get before it doesn't figure itself out. Mm-hmm. And he said 140 people making 100,000 each might keep some of the syndicates out. Might be onto something there.
Yeah.
I mean, when Perry won split for that much money at the very end of it last year, you know how much these poker players and how much these syndicates are dealing with then. And that's not an option. Chopping, not an option. And if it's not enough money, they don't want to be involved in it. The amount of people who we know who love the idea of Super Contest Gold, 5,000, and one person wins.
I'm surprised by that. I don't like it.
They love it.
Yeah, I think you should pay top 5 at least, top 3. But
that's I think so too. I think that, but that'll tell you. I think that if, despite that number being overwhelming to most people, there's still a lot of people out there with a ton of cash that are like, 5, 10, 50, whatever it is, I'm in it. Got to do it.
Yep. I got to lose some again. The guy was cutting his grass at 6 a.m.
The same guy. Same guy. Yeah.
So Jonathan Davis reached out and said, there's rules here. We're living in a society, but usually the cutoff is 8 a.m. on weekdays, 9 a.m. on what? Or you can't do this. You can't cut your grass at 6:15 in the morning on a Tuesday.
I got news for you.
That's outrageous.
Okay, so this is a new place that you're living, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a weekly thing.
Do I call the cops?
Well, no. I think can you go to somebody at the actual place where you live?
Got that. It's not only it's the the cleaning up the yard and afterwards it's one thing to cut the grass in and out, bank job. It's also here comes I'm cleaning this up, I got the blower out, I'm doing all this. It's a big production, and it goes on and on and on, and I got
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, it's going to be an hour every single week.
6:15. Even Jordan's up like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, you're going to have to talk to somebody. Cops, I think actually the rule might be 6 a.m. out here though, 3-shift time.
It's got to be, yeah. That's another reason, sure, but also.
Oh, come on, man. Again, we switched times. You never would have had this problem if we were still doing the show at 4 a.m.
I never knew about it.
Exactly right.
I'm on the air. NFL underway. Never been a better time to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. Make this football season your best ever with full VSiN Pro access. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The betting splits show you where the money and bets are moving every game. The betting systems, the dog videos, the football season special, full VSiN Pro access now through the Super Bowl, just $175, or the monthly subscription for just $9.99. It's your ticket to a winning season. Don't wait. VSiN.com/subscribe. Get over there now. VSiN.com/subscribe.
What could you do to make life a living hell for this guy to retaliate? Anything? I went and knocked on a neighbor's door many years ago who left her dog outside in the backyard, and the dog would not stop barking the entire time. Summertime, didn't matter, 100 degrees. I finally went over there and knocked on the door twice. Like, this has got to end. Weekends early.
Reaction? What was the reaction? The response?
Oh, livid at me.
Livid at you?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Like,
dogs barking at 5 a.m.?
Couldn't understand. There's, idiots. Only about themselves. Don't care. Don't want the dog in the house. Professional sports bettor Paul Stone on the show coming up next. He has 4 best bets to get to. Does he think that Memphis may be good enough to shock Florida State this weekend?